a hard-working corporate laborer, tragically died from a heart attack due to excessive overtime. However, his life did not end with his death. Instead, he was reborn into a new and better life. In his past life, he had struggled to make ends meet, but now he found himself as the prince of a prestigious noble family, ruling over an expansive territory covering hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. Despite his newfound status, challenges loomed over his territory. Starvation was widespread, armies constantly waged war over land, and, most dangerously, traitors lurked within his domain, ready to betray him at any moment. The question now was how he would navigate this world of magic, leverage his past life knowledge, and harness the power of technology to secure his rule. The story begins in an ICU, where doctors were frantically working to save a patient. The patient, later revealed to be Jean Lishan, a mechanical engineer, acknowledged his impending death. He reflected on his life, stating that due to relentless overtime, he had suffered a heart attack. He admitted that his life had never been good. After losing his parents in a car accident, he had grown up as an orphan with no one to care for him. Jean Lishan recounted that after graduation, he had worked continuously for 20 years, struggling with long hours and meager pay. His financial struggles were so severe that he couldn't even afford a taxi to his home. He lamented that his life had been filled with hardships, leaving no time or money for personal happiness. He noted that while the doctors were desperately trying to save him, he was utterly exhausted and longed for a deep, uninterrupted sleep. As he succumbed to his fate, he expected his suffering to end. However, upon opening his eyes, he found himself in an extravagant room. Confused, he initially assumed that the hospital had mistakenly placed him in an expensive suite, and he worried about the financial burden. But before he could process the situation further, a mysterious system message greeted him, welcoming him to the magical continent of Aldera. Overwhelmed by pain and confusion, he noticed his reflection in a nearby mirror and was shocked by his transformed appearance. He had never looked so refined and handsome. A week later, he had acclimated to his new reality. He had learned that he had been reincarnated as Rain Edgar, the third son of Grand Duke Alferia. Unlike his past life, where he had struggled constantly, this life was one of privilege. His elder brother and sister adored him, and he had never faced hardships. As the youngest in a noble family, he was treated with great respect and care both inside and outside the household. Rain came to the conclusion that fate had granted him a second chance. His previous life had been miserable, devoid of enjoyment, but this new existence was filled with luxury. He learned that this world, known as the Old Continent, revolved around magic, which played a role in everything from military power to daily activities. The continent was home to the Caradorial Empire, the largest human kingdom, along with various non-human species such as elves and dwarves. The Edgar family, to which Rain now belonged, was a powerful noble house governing a vast territory of 300,000 square kilometers with a population of 1 million. Being part of this noble lineage granted him fine clothing, exquisite food, and even a personal maid to attend to him at all times. Rain found it hard to believe that such an extravagant life was now his reality. One day, his maid, Leah, informed him that his father had summoned him. Rain entered his father's office, where the butler announced his arrival. Grand Duke Alferia permitted him to enter. As he stepped inside, Rain curiously asked his father about the reason for the meeting. Alferia questioned Rain, asking if he understood why he had been summoned. Rain admitted that he did not. His father then revealed that Rain had now come of age and it was time for him to manage his own territory. He instructed Rain to decide where he would like his land to be located. Excited by the prospect, Rain eagerly asked if he was truly being given his own territory. Alferia smirked, remarking that he had expected Rain to be unaware of such matters. He explained that all members of their family eventually took control of their own domains. The land assigned to Rain was in the northwest region. While relatively safe compared to other territories, it faced significant challenges such as a scarcity of magicians and ongoing food shortages. Alferia emphasized the importance of Rain's responsibilities. He warned that while the Caradorial Empire was currently stable, the future held uncertainties. It was now Rain's duty to prepare himself for what lay ahead. The empire was on the brink of facing numerous challenges, and it was all due to the royal family's decline. Rain reflected on his father's words, agreeing internally that he was absolutely right. The Caradorial Empire's royal family was weakening day by day. In fact, many noble families had surpassed the royals in power. This deterioration, Rain thought, stemmed from rampant corruption within the country. Some nobles had even allied with foreign nations, plotting daily to undermine their own homeland. Ever since his reincarnation, Rain had been experiencing the life he once saw in his dreams. However, he realized that true happiness did not stem from luxurious possessions but from the people who genuinely cared for him. He was determined to protect those who looked after him and ensure their safety. Meanwhile, Alferia observed the situation with concern. He felt that Rain was still the harsh realities of the world. Even if he understood some aspects, his knowledge was limited. Alferia decided not to burden him unnecessarily and reassured him, saying that as long as their elder siblings were around, he had nothing to worry about. Rain then turned to his father and asked if solving the food crisis in the northwest would lead to improved security in the region. Alferia responded, explaining that the food problem was far too vast to be resolved in one attempt. It would take significant time and effort to make a difference. As Alferia spoke, he thought to himself that Rain was still a child, unable to fully comprehend the magnitude of the challenges they faced. Feeding a few people was one thing, but providing for hundreds of thousands was an entirely different matter. He found it naive that Rain believed such a massive problem could be solved quickly. However, Rain had his own thoughts. He knew his father likely saw him as an ignorant child, but what his father didn't realize was that he was not an ordinary person. He possessed knowledge far beyond his time, thousands of years ahead. He understood how civilizations had evolved and was determined to use those advanced methods to bring about change. Rain confidently declared that his father need not worry about the food crisis, as he would soon find a solution. The narrative then shifted focus to a city in the northwest territory of Grand Duke Alferia. This city faced significant challenges, primarily due to its vulnerable borders. To the north, it bordered the lands of Grand Duke Soren. To the west, the Elves' Path began, and to the south, a vast ocean stretched out. Surrounded by adversaries, the city was frequently attacked. The constant conflicts had ravaged its lands, leading to widespread poverty and famine. The population had dwindled as many were lost to war, and now, even the enemies saw no benefit in attacking such a weakened region. Meanwhile, Rain approached this territory, contemplating the immense work needed to revive the city. If he wished to spark an industrial revolution, he would require a vast labor force. However, the city's population was alarmingly low, and those who remained were weak and malnourished. He realized that increasing the population would be essential to his plans. Fortunately, Rain had an advantage. His system, recently, he had gained a scanning ability that allowed him to assess a person's attributes. He had already tested it on his family members to understand its capabilities. With this ability, he would be able to surround himself with competent individuals and weed out those who might cause trouble. Leah, one of Rain's attendants, noticed that he seemed preoccupied. Remembering Alferia's instructions, she reminded herself that she had to keep a close watch on him to ensure he didn't cause any trouble in the territory. She silently hoped that he would refrain from any reckless actions, as that would be beneficial for both of them. The scene then shifted to Essling City, where the city lord, Lord Eldrick, convened with his subordinates. He announced that Grand Duke's son was set to arrive in the city. This development would make it difficult for them to continue their usual dealings. Concerned, he asked for guidance on their next course of action. One of his advisors reassured him, suggesting that the young noble was unlikely to be overly strict. Since he was the youngest in his family, he had likely never faced any hardships in his life. A masked figure in the group then cautioned that they could not act against Rain without direct orders from their master. Until further instructions arrived, they would have to remain patient. Despite this, the city lord was visibly anxious. He reminded them of the numerous fraudulent activities they had committed, hinting at the potential consequences if their wrongdoings were exposed. The masked man expressed his confidence that even if the young master discovered their tax fraud, they would have nothing to worry about. He scoffed at the idea that the young master would be intelligent enough to read financial reports or understand their contents. Turning to his accomplice, he instructed him to provide the young master with any records of his choice, assuring him that the boy would be none the wiser. He reminded his colleague that they had used this trick on many young masters before, all with great success. However, he cautioned that relying solely on this method was unwise. Just then, the city lord acknowledged the instruction and agreed to proceed as planned. The masked man then remarked that the time for the young master's arrival had come. He urged his companion to greet the boy and ensnare him in their scheme, emphasizing that if they could bring him under their control, their plans would proceed smoothly. The city lord nodded and affirmed his understanding. Meanwhile, another figure reflected on Alferia's past misdeeds. He thought to himself that Alferia had committed numerous wrongs, and now it was her children who would suffer the consequences of her actions. At the same time, Rain had halted his journey just outside the city. Observing the land before him, he noted that it was fertile but largely barren due to the scarcity of people. He reasoned that without cultivators, the land had become completely useless. Turning to Leah, he requested a map of the area. As he studied it, he quickly deduced the cause of the problem. If he could construct a canal and connect it to sea, the situation would improve significantly. As he contemplated this solution, his thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a distressed voice nearby. A girl was pleading with her father to stop gambling, explaining that the money was meant for her mother's treatment. She warned that if he lost the money, they would have no means to help her mother. Despite her desperate pleas, father remained unmoved, demanding that she hand over the money immediately. He insisted that he would win big this time and change their fate forever. Through tears, the girl reminded him that he had made the same promise countless times before, only to bring them further into poverty. She accused him of using gambling as an excuse to avoid work and take responsibility, lamenting how he was ruining their family. Her father, enraged by her words, raised his hand and threatened her, warning that if she refused to comply, she would regret it. Before the father could strike, Rain swiftly intervened, delivering a powerful punch. However, the force of the blow numbed his own hand. Rain winced in pain. Leah, alarmed, scolded him for acting recklessly. She reminded him that if he needed someone beaten, she could have done it for him, or they could have summoned an armorer. Fighting in such a manner, she insisted, was not suitable for him. Rain, acknowledging his impulsiveness, assured her that he would consult her before acting next time. Turning his attention to the girl, Rain asked if she was hurt. While he considered how to deal with her father, he sternly addressed the man, questioning how he could contemplate gambling away money that could save a family member's life. He accused the father of stooping so low that he was willing to harm his own daughter for financial gain. The father, now nervous, asked who Rain was and why he was interfering in their business. Rain dismissed the question, stating that his identity was irrelevant. What mattered was what the man chose to do next. He issued a grave warning. If he ever found out that the man had returned to gambling, he would not hesitate to end him. He described in chilling detail the torment he would inflict before finishing him off, ensuring that his fate would be a lesson to others. He then dared the man to gamble again, promising dire consequences if he did. Terrified, the man broke into tears and fled, repeatedly apologizing and swearing never to gamble again. Rain watched him go. Amused by how easy it was to intimidate people, he decided to use his system to check whether the girl had sustained any injuries. As he did so, the girl approached him with gratitude. She tearfully thanked him, explaining that if he had not intervened, her father would have taken the money and lost it all, leaving them with nothing for her mother's treatment. She expressed how deeply indebted she was to him, emphasizing that he had no idea how much he had helped her. System introduced the girl as Lillian Aldry, a 17-year-old with average physical stats. However, Rain quickly noted that she has special farming skills. He said that the girl has holy body of agriculture. If she were to engage in any work related to farming in the future, the results would be significantly better, revealing the full potential of agriculture. Rain mentioned that he had been planning to go to town to find a doctor for his mother. Coincidentally, they were heading there as well. He invited Lillian to join them. However, Lillian hesitated, expressing her concerns. "No, I cannot come with you. You are a noble, and I am just a commoner. My dirty clothes might spoil your carriage," she said. Rain dismissed her worries with a reassuring smile. "This is just a carriage, a means of transport. If it gets dirty, what difference does it make? Look, I am here, so there is no need to worry. You can come with us. Besides, I have some questions I would like to ask you." He then shifted the topic, voicing his curiosity. Everyone knows how poor this city is, and with so many problems going on, it makes no sense to have a casino here. That's why I want to know everything about it. Lillian explained. "Last time, Grand Duke Soren attacked us, causing immense damage to the city. Many soldiers lost their lives. As soon as the war ended, a devastating flood followed, ruining our crops and washing away our fertile soil. Life here was never easy, but after these disasters, it has become even more difficult. Many people struggle to afford even a single meal." Rain observed the city and agreed with Lillian's assessment. The conditions were indeed dire. However, he recalled that his father had sent a substantial amount of money to aid such people. He frowned, wondering where all those development funds had gone. The city lord should have used that money to help the people. If it had been properly utilized, the situation would be much better, he thought. Turning to Lillian, Rain asked, "Do you know where the mansion of the city lord is located?" Lillian nodded. "Yes, I do. Just as she was about to provide directions, a man on horseback suddenly galloped forward at high speed, shouting, "Move aside, you wretched insects, if my horse crushes you, it will be your own fault." Leah quickly reacted, pulling Rain to the side just in time. As she caught her breath, she thought, whoever that person was, young master could have been seriously hurt. Rain, struggling to breathe, gasped, "Leah, let go of me, I can't breathe." Releasing him immediately, Leah looked at him with concern. "Master Rain, are you hurt? If you are in pain, let's go to the doctor first, everything else can wait. I can't risk your health." Rain smiled reassuringly. "Thanks to you, I am absolutely fine. If you hadn't been here, I might have been seriously injured." He then turned to Lillian. "Do you know who that man was?" Lillian nodded. "Yes, that was the young master of the Edwin family. Earlier, you asked me about the casino. Well, all the casinos in our city belong to his family." Rain's eyes narrowed. "So, all the casinos are theirs. That means they must have a lot of money." Lillian sighed. "Yes, they are incredibly wealthy, but you saw how they behaved towards others." Ron pondered for a moment. "For a while now, I have been wondering where all the development funds went. I remember very well that my father sent a large sum of money to this city. It seems I don't have to search any longer. I know exactly where all the money has gone." He turned to Lillian with determination. "Take me to the casino." "Where is it?" Lillian looked alarmed. "Master, please don't go there. Everyone who has gone to the casino has been ruined. They are ruthless and deceitful. If you fall into their trap, they will destroy you." Rain reassured her. "Don't worry at all. They won't be able to harm me." Lillian, observing his confidence, couldn't help but wonder, how powerful is this young master? He seems so sure of himself, but I have no idea just how strong he truly is. Soon, they arrived at the casino. Rain took in the sight before him. "This is excessive," he muttered. The building was enormous, and 2 guards stood at the entrance, watching every passerby with keen eyes. Rain knew that if he had to lead the people towards the palace, the casino had to be destroyed. Easy ways always stopped people from working hard, and this place was no exception. It no longer served its true purpose and had instead become a den of corruption. As he stepped into the casino, he was met with the sight of countless gamblers. Some had lost all their money and were desperately begging for more chips, while others celebrated their victories with reckless abandon. Observing the scene, Rain reaffirmed his belief: so long as the casino remained, the people here would never work properly. Even those who did would likely return each evening only to lose all their earnings. Leah approached him and informed him, "Master, as per your orders, our soldiers have surrounded the entire casino. We await your next signal to attack." Rain instructed her to wait. "If we want to catch a big fish, we need to be patient." As he moved further inside, the casino manager approached him with a courteous smile. "Sir, what game would you like to play?" he inquired. Rain responded nonchalantly, "I'm not particularly fond of gambling, and this is my first time here. Show me something simple." "Of course, follow me," the manager said. "Before playing, you will need to purchase chips." As Rain stepped forward to buy the chips, a man handed him 2 for free. "This is our policy," the man explained. "We offer the first 2 chips for free so our guests can experience something different." Rain saw this as his chance. He tossed the dice and declared, "I'll bet on a low number." Around him, the casino patrons smirked, convinced that another unsuspecting gambler had fallen into their trap. They planned to strip him of everything he had before sending him away empty-handed. But when the dice landed, the result shocked them: 4 sixes. "That means a high number," someone announced. A wave of disappointment rippled through the crowd as those who had bet on lower numbers realized they had lost. The casino manager put on a sympathetic expression. "How unfortunate," he said. "You lost in the first round. But young master, you were so close to winning. Try a little harder, and I'm sure you'll succeed next time." Rain, however, was unimpressed. "This game requires no real effort. It's boring. I won't continue playing." Then, as if to dismiss the matter entirely, he added, "Besides, I'm hungry." Just as he was about to leave, the manager stepped in front of him. "Wait a moment, sir, you cannot leave without paying." Rain raised an eyebrow. "I haven't taken anything from you. Why should I pay?" The manager's smile turned sly. "I gave you 2 chips, and you used them. Since you lost, you now owe us for them." "But you said they were free," Rain countered. The manager scoffed. "A nobleman like you making such a cheap joke. Since when has anything inside a casino been free? Nothing comes without a price." He continued, "Each chip here costs 100 gold coins. You took 2, and since I personally served you, you owe us 250 gold coins. I know it's a hefty amount, but I'm giving you a chance. Either pay up or leave something valuable behind. Otherwise, you won't be walking out of here." Before Rain could respond, Lillian stepped forward, furious. "You're lying, Master. Don't believe him. The chips here are worth a single silver coin, not 100 gold coins. If that were the case, there wouldn't even be a game. My father plays here every day. I know exactly how much everything costs." The manager's expression darkened. "Who let this brat in? I had everything planned, and she's ruining it. Guards, get rid of her. These lowlifes have no place in my casino." Before the guards could act, Rain kicked the manager, sending him crashing onto a nearby table. The impact caused a pile of chips to scatter across the floor. As soon as the chips spilled, chaos erupted. Greedy gamblers lunged for them, shoving and even fighting one another to grab whatever they could. Watching the scene unfold, Rain shook his head in disappointment. These people are truly hopeless. Guiding them onto the right path will be a challenge. At that moment, an authoritative voice rang out. "Who dares to cause trouble in my casino?" A man from the Edwin family had arrived, flanked by his men. He sneered at the commotion. "It looks like you all are tired of your miserable lives and have chosen to die in my casino." Rain smirked inwardly. Finally, a big fish has taken the bait. The time has come to end this charade. The sight of Edwin's man terrified the gamblers who had been scrambling for chips. The young master of the Edwin family issued a cold command. "Beat them. Teach these worms a lesson." His men wasted no time. They descended on the gamblers, mercilessly striking them down. "These fools never learn," one of them spat. "How dare they think they could take what isn't theirs?" As the beatings continued, the rest of the patrons shrank back in fear. The young master addressed them with a smirk. "Let this be a lesson. Behave, or you'll meet the same fate." Lillian clenched her fists. She knew it was her fault. Master had helped her save her mother, and yet she had knowingly led them into danger. She had been a coward for too long. It was time to stand up. Stepping forward, she declared, "You're wrong. You can't scam people while my big brother is here." Gasps filled the room. The gamblers stared at her as if she had lost her mind. No one who challenged the young master of the Edwin family lived to tell the tale. The young master sneered. "Oh, and what exactly are you going to do about it? Speak up. I can barely hear you." Lillian raised her voice. "Listen carefully. Your casino scams everyone, ruining families. My family was already destroyed, but with Big Brother here, I won't let the same thing happen again. You can't bully him. He's a better person than all of you combined." Varslow, one of Edwin's enforcers, laughed mockingly. "You think you can stop me? Let's see how long you last." He lunged at Lillian, intending to strike her down. She braced herself, ready to accept her fate, but as time passed, she realized the blow never came. Opening her eyes, she saw Rain standing in front of her, gripping Varslow's wrist tightly. Rain pondered over the information before him. Varslow Edwin, a 23-year-old man, had average basic stats. However, two aspects of his profile stood out as particularly concerning. His loyalty was a mere 5, indicating his selfish and untrustworthy nature. Additionally, his specialty was brutality, a trait that made it evident the Edwin family was firmly opposed to them. Rain concluded that the Edwin family could not be trusted and might have to be eliminated soon. Meanwhile, Varslow confronted Rain, stating that he had moved ahead while Rain had remained behind. Rain considered the implications of this statement. Varslow trying to obstruct him, he reflected on the natural order of power, recognizing that the strong would always stand in the way of others. He admitted that he might not be a significant threat to Varslow at the moment, but emphasized that, like his people, he too had his own strengths. Varslow, smiling, observed that it had been a long time since he had encountered such an interesting person. He demanded to know Rain's name, questioning who he was to stand against him in his own city. However, Varslow quickly dismissed the need to know Rain's identity, stating that it wouldn't matter because no one could do anything to him. At that moment, Rain clapped his hands, and his soldiers entered the scene. He reiterated his belief that power determined control, and since he was the most powerful in that situation, victory was his. The scene then shifted to a grand banquet hall, where a celebration was being